Have you ever found yourself lying awake all night, simply because your mind just wouldn't stop thinking? You close your eyes, try to take deep breaths, shift positions, count backwards, but you still can't turn off that quiet voice in your head, the whisper of worries, unanswered questions, old memories, and things you simply can't change. If you've ever had nights like that, I want you to know you are not alone. I've worked with so many people over 50, and most of them have shared this very same feeling. When the body needs rest, the mind just won't settle. But there's nothing wrong with you. It only means you've lived deeply. You've loved, you've worried, you've cared, and sometimes you just need someone to gently remind you you are allowed to let go. Today, I want to invite you into a quiet, gentle space, a place where you don't need to fix anything. Just sit with me, breathe softly, and slowly come home to yourself. You see, after the age of 50, our bodies begin to change in subtle but undeniable ways. Not loud, but enough to notice sleep doesn't come as easily. And the mind, it's busier than ever. Part of it is hormones as they shift. We become more sensitive to stress. Part of it is the years we've lived, the things we've carried, the moments we've never fully unpacked. They settle deep inside us. And that's exactly why I believe in the power of meditation. Not the kind where you force yourself to be silent, but the kind where you give yourself permission to rest. No pushing, no forcing your thoughts to go away. Just sit, breathe, and observe as if you were watching clouds drift across the sky. Little by little, you'll notice that your mind, too, can become still like a quiet lake once no one's throwing stones into it anymore. I want you to pause for just a moment and imagine this with me. Picture yourself sitting in a quiet room. It doesn't have to be a special place, just a corner where you feel safe. Maybe it's your living room where soft morning light slips in through the window. Maybe it's that familiar chair on your front porch. Or maybe it's simply the edge of your bed right now. Now, gently close your eyes and imagine that you're being surrounded by a warm field of light. It's not blinding, not mystical, just a gentle glow like the sun early in the morning when it touches your skin without making you squint. This light isn't asking anything of you. It's not here to judge you. It's just here to be with you. I remember one of my patients, a woman in her late 60s, after years of insomnia and anxiety, sat quietly with me after a therapy session. She let out a long sigh and said, "Dr. Ethan, sometimes I just wish someone would put a hand on my shoulder and not say a word. Just give me the feeling that I don't have to hold it all together anymore." Her words stopped me in my tracks because they were so real, and I believe many people over 50 feel the same way. We spend our lives caring for others, holding everything up, being the strong one. And then one day when the body grows tired, when sleep doesn't come easily, when the mind just won't settle, we realize something. We've forgotten how to care for ourselves. Meditation doesn't always have to begin with breath or technique. Sometimes it begins with a simple act of permission. You allow yourself to sit in a space of quiet compassion. No need to do it right. No need to be good at it. No need to try hard. Just allow yourself to feel that something kind and gentle still exists. That even if your eyes are dry and your heart feels weary, the light is still there. I once read a study, simple but profound. Spending just 2 to 3 minutes a day visualizing something positive like light, a joyful memory, or someone you love can help your brain release oxytocin, a hormone that reduces stress, slows the heart, and improves sleep. You don't need to believe in the science to feel the shift. You just need to experience it right now. So in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes and imagine a soft light is gently moving from the top of your head, down your forehead, your neck, your chest, your shoulders. It's not rushing you to relax. It's just whispering, "I'm here." You don't have to hold it all together anymore. Let yourself receive that light, even if you don't fully understand it. Because sometimes just being present with something gentle is already the first step toward healing. I'd like you to try something small right now. Just bring your attention to your shoulders. Slowly. No rush. You might be sitting on a chair, maybe leaning back on your bed. It doesn't matter. Just take a moment to notice. Are your shoulders tense? Do you feel like you're holding something there? One of my patients once told me I didn't realize I was always tensing my shoulders until someone gently placed their hand on me and said, "Hey, let go." That's when I realized I'd been carrying something for years without ever setting it down. Have you ever felt like that? Here's something I've learned: when we're anxious, the body never lies. We might smile. We might pretend we're okay. But the shoulders stay tight. The jaw clenches. The forehead tenses almost as if we're preparing for battle, even in the middle of the night in a perfectly quiet room. From my experience, especially with those over 50, this silent muscle tension is one of the biggest hidden reasons behind sleep trouble. You may not notice it, but your tight shoulders, your neck, your facial muscles, they're constantly sending signals to your brain. We're still on alert, and your brain, loyal as it is, keeps you wide awake. But here's the good news. You can change that with just a small movement. Try this with me. Exhale softly. And as you do, imagine your shoulders dropping just a little. Not forced, just a gentle release, like stepping into your home after a long day, and finally taking off your shoes. Then bring your attention to your face. Maybe you're frowning without knowing it. Maybe your jaw is clenched. Now let your face soften like a warm towel resting on your cheek. Soft, gentle, unheld. Just a few seconds like that, but for me and for many of my patients, this is the very first doorway into restful sleep. Because when you relax your shoulders and your face, you're sending a quiet message to your mind. We don't need to protect ourselves anymore. It's time to rest. I'd like you to try something with me just for a moment. You don't need to change your posture. You don't need to try too hard. Just take a deep breath, slowly. Breathe in, starting from your lower belly. Let your stomach rise just a little. Then let the breath move up into your chest and finally into your throat. And now, exhale slowly, gently, as if you were blowing a thin layer of dust off an old wooden table, carefully, with reverence. A patient of mine, she was in her 70s, once asked me, "Ethan, everyone breathes. Why do you keep bringing it up so much?" I smiled, and I told her something I think you might need to hear too. Yes, everyone breathes, but not everyone remembers how to breathe consciously. And the difference between those two things is often the difference between a restless night and a peaceful one. Have you noticed? When we're anxious, our breath gets faster, more shallow. And sometimes, we even hold our breath without knowing it. The body has its own memory. When you've been under stress for a long time, your breath tightens. You're surviving the day, not really living it. And your body starts thinking, something's wrong, stay alert. That's when sleep drifts further away. Relaxation disappears. But here's the good news. With just one deep, intentional breath, you send a signal to your brain that says, it's okay now, you can rest. Science calls it activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of us that restores, digests, heals, and sleeps. I call it flipping the peace switch inside yourself. Let's try it once more. Gently, no pressure. Breathe in as if you're welcoming something tender into your life. Then breathe out like you're letting go of something you no longer need to carry. And if you keep doing this for a few minutes each evening, I won't promise that all your problems will vanish, but I can promise you this. You'll return to yourself one breath at a time, and maybe, just maybe, that's where healing truly begins. I want you to try something with me, something simple, yet deeply meaningful. Bring your attention to the center of your chest, right where your heart is beating. You don't even have to place your hand there. Just let your mind gently return to that space as if you were knocking on the door of a room you haven't visited in a long time. One of my former patients, George, he's 74 now, once told me during a quiet conversation, "I know I have a heart, Ethan, but I've never truly listened to it. I've lived by duty, by logic, by what I was supposed to do. Only when I got older did I start to wonder, what does my heart truly want?" That question, I think, isn't easy to answer. But it can begin with a small moment like this one right now. You know, the heart chakra, according to ancient medicine and many modern healing practices, is the center of gratitude, love, and your connection to your true self. You don't need to believe in the concept of chakras to feel this. All you have to do is place your hand on your chest and slow your breath. Now I want you to imagine that with each breath out, you're gently knocking on that inner door, not asking for anything, just quietly saying, "I'm home, I'm listening." You see, the mind always wants to wander, to think, to analyze, to worry. But the heart is different. It doesn't need reasons. It only needs your presence. And when your mind returns to your heart, no longer chasing what's out there, but instead touching the warmth and softness within, that's when you begin to return to yourself. So if tonight you find it hard to sleep, if your thoughts are still swirling, I invite you to place your hand on your chest and whisper, "I'm still here. I'm still listening to my heart." And you'll notice sometimes that alone is enough to feel at peace. I want you to listen with me right now. Don't try to search for anything special. Just listen to whatever is present around you. It might be the ticking of a clock in your room, the steady hum of a fan, a faint sound from outside your window, maybe a distant car or someone walking by. Whatever it is, I invite you not to name it, not to analyze, not to judge. Just simply listen, as if you're listening to a song without lyrics. One of my former patients, Ruth, 68 years old, once shared something after a gentle meditation session. "I didn't think I could sit still for more than 2 minutes. But when you told me to just listen to the sounds around me, without trying to understand them, I realized even my mind knew how to exhale." I really loved the way she said that my mind knew how to exhale, because truly, when you start listening without trying to grasp, you're allowing your mind to finally let go. Have you ever noticed this? Our minds always want to do something. It wants to analyze sounds, assign meaning, control everything. But when you just listen without judgment, as if you were sitting beneath a tree, quietly listening to the leaves fall, your mind begins to return to the present moment. And strangely, the moment you are fully present, worries no longer have a place to cling. Modern science agrees sound-based mindfulness, like listening meditation, has been shown to reduce activity in brain areas tied to anxiety and stress response. Neurologically, it's like shifting energy away from the problem-solving mode and into the being here now mode. And the present moment is always safe enough. So I invite you, don't try to meditate perfectly. Don't force yourself into silence. Just listen. Listen as if you were sitting by a small stream, where the water flows without needing you to understand it, but still manages to calm your heart. And if tonight you find it hard to sleep, instead of counting sheep or tossing and turning in bed, try listening to the sounds around you. No labeling, no reacting. Just listen. And then maybe your mind too will exhale gently, just like Ruth said. And you'll realize that peace doesn't live somewhere far away. It lives in the simple sounds around you, right here, right now. I want you to imagine something. You're holding a bag. It's not very big, but it's heavy, incredibly heavy. You've been carrying it on your shoulders for many years, maybe since you were raising children, working long hours, caring for a loved one, or maybe ever since you tried to appear strong. And now at 50, 60, or 70 years old, you're still carrying it. You've gotten so used to the weight that sometimes you don't even notice it anymore. One of my patients, Carol, she's 63, once whispered to me after a therapy session, "I don't know what I'm holding inside. But every night when I lie down, I feel this fullness in my chest. Not because my lungs can't breathe, but because there's something I haven't let go of." Have you ever felt that way? It's not that you don't want to let go. It's just that you don't know where to begin, because what you're holding could be a memory, a person who's no longer here, a mistake, or maybe a version of yourself you thought you had to live up to. I'm not here to tell you you have to let go right now. We all know letting go isn't as simple as opening your hand and dropping something. Letting go is invisible but deeply courageous. And often it doesn't begin with a bold decision. It begins with a small act of permission, like holding a dry, brittle leaf in your palm. Instead of clenching it or trying to tear it apart, you simply open your hand and let the wind take it away gently, softly. I once read a study that said this: when we visualize letting go, like imagining dropping something into a flowing stream, our brains release dopamine, the neurotransmitter that helps us feel relief and a sense of control. So no visualization isn't just a mind game. It's a sacred inner ritual, one that tells your body, we don't need to hold this anymore. So I invite you right now to picture something you're ready to release. It doesn't have to be the deepest wound of your life. It can be something small, a tired thought, an old guilt, or a memory that keeps coming back in the night. Place it in front of you. Look at it. Don't run from it. Don't judge it. And then whisper quietly in your heart, I've held you long enough. Now I'm ready to let you go. That's all. Gently, like the wind carrying a fallen leaf. No force, no rush, and you'll see, sometimes it's that very softness that holds the greatest strength. Because only when you know how to let go can peace finally find its way home to you. I want you to stay with this moment just a little longer. No rush, not to finish the meditation, but simply to return to yourself gently, quietly. I often tell my patients, ending a meditation is like stepping out of a sunlit room in the morning. You don't slam the door shut. You step out softly and you leave the door slightly open so that a little of that light can come with you through the rest of your day. One of my longtime patients, Mr. Mark 71, shared something with me after our very first session. Nothing miraculous happened. But when I opened my eyes, everything felt just a little more peaceful, as if I'd wiped away a thin layer of dust inside myself. I've held on to those words for years, because they remind me meditation isn't about going somewhere new. It's about coming home. You can place a hand over your heart, or simply take one last deep breath. And when you open your eyes, look around the room you're in, the light, the chair, the familiar wall. Everything may appear the same, but something in you has shifted. You've slowed down, softened, and maybe in that silence you've found a part of yourself again, a part that had been waiting quietly underneath the busyness of everyday life. Science calls this the rest and digest state, the body's natural mode of healing, calm, and nourishment. But I prefer to call it coming home. Because when you are truly present, not clinging to the past, not worrying about the future, that is home. If you can carry this feeling with you, into your dinner, into a quiet moment with someone you care about, or even as you sit and listen to the ticking of a clock, then you are still meditating even with your eyes open. So don't think the meditation ends when I stop speaking. The truth is, it's only just begun. And you can take it with you as a deep breath, a soft gaze, a calm that no one can take from you. I'm grateful you stayed with me until now. And I hope this moment becomes a place you return to often, not for anyone else, but because you deserve to live gently. I want to ask you something, and you can just answer quietly in your heart. When was the last time you truly believed in yourself? Not believed you could do something big, but simply believed you were on the right path, that you were enough, that you didn't have to keep pushing, striving, becoming someone else just to feel worthy. An old patient of mine, her name was Linda, 66 years old, once told me something I'll never forget. The older I get, the more I lose faith in myself. Not because I'm weaker, Mom, but because I see all my flaws. I forget things I'm not as sharp as I used to be. And then I start doubting even the simplest parts of myself. I understood exactly what she meant. And I think many people over 50 have quietly felt the same way. Youth gives us the illusion that if we just try hard enough, everything will work out perfectly. But after walking a longer path, we realize control is an illusion. And what we truly need to learn is how to let go a little so we can trust ourselves more deeply. I'm not talking about blind faith or trendy affirmations. I'm talking about a kind of belief that is soft and quiet. A belief that even if you're not perfect today, you're still doing the best you can with the most honest heart you have. And to me, that is a beautiful kind of strength. Did you know in neuropsychology, researchers have found that when you speak kindly to yourself, your brain releases oxytocin, the hormone of connection and love. It doesn't just lift your mood, it can lower blood pressure, improve sleep, and even boost your immune system. That means the belief you hold in yourself isn't just a feeling, it's a natural form of healing. So if there ever comes a moment when you feel you're not enough, remember what you've lived through, the losses, the changes, the trials, and still you're here. You're breathing. You're learning how to listen and how to heal. To me, that alone is a powerful act of courage. Right now, I invite you to place your hand over your heart, gently, and whisper, even if it's only in your mind, I'm not perfect. But I'm learning to love myself little by little. And believe me, you deserve that. Not because of what you've achieved, but simply because you are you. And that has always been enough. I want you to try something very simple. You don't need to be good at meditation. You don't need any special technique. Just sit still. Don't do anything. Don't try to accomplish anything. Just let yourself be in the quiet. An old patient of mine, Mr. Henry, 70 years old, once told me, the hardest part for me isn't breathing exercises. It's just sitting still, doing nothing. I'm used to always having something to fix, a to-do list, a phone call to make, something to take care of. Now that I'm retired, I get uncomfortable when it's just me with me. I think many people over 50 feel the same way. We've spent our lives doing, and sometimes we forget how to simply be. We've gotten used to noise, to movement, to the idea that being busy means being okay. But you know, stillness doesn't mean emptiness. Stillness is where you begin to hear yourself again, not through the TV, not through social media, not through all the things out there, but through that voice inside. Gentle, quiet, but deeply true. I often begin every meditation with this moment, sitting down, spine straight but not tense, and closing my eyes. Not to push thoughts away, but to tell myself we're not going to do anything for a while. We're just going to be here and listen to the quiet. You might hear a clock ticking, the breeze through the window, the slow beat of your heart. That's not empty silence. That is life passing gently when you no longer try to grasp it. In neuroscience, they call this the moment of shifting into recovery mode, where the brain and body are allowed to step out of chronic stress. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to do anything complicated to enter this state. You just have to pause. So if you're hearing me right now, consider this your invitation. Sit down. Put the phone away. Close your eyes softly. And allow yourself to just be a living, breathing human being in this moment. No fixing, no performing, no chasing. Just you breathing, sitting, and being enough. Sometimes in moments of stillness like this, we don't just find peace. We find ourselves again. I want you to think about something small, but not easy. When was the last time you truly forgave yourself? I'm not talking about forgiving others. I'm talking about looking back at yourself. The mistakes, the overreactions, the decisions you still think about and say, if only. And then saying to yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. One of my patients, Helen, 69 years old, once cried as she said to me, "I've never forgiven myself for not being there the day my mother died. I was working, and I've carried that like a wound that won't heal." I sat quietly for a while, then gently said, "Helen, if your mother could sit here with us now, I truly believe she would just want to hold you and say, 'You've done your best, my dear.'" We're often so willing to forgive others, yet so harsh with ourselves. And sometimes the most important forgiveness is the one you give yourself. You know, in psychology, researchers have found that gratitude and forgiveness are biologically linked. When you feel grateful, your brain releases serotonin, a chemical that stabilizes your mood. And when you forgive, especially when you forgive yourself, activity in the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response begins to quiet down. In other words, you begin to feel safe inside your own skin. I want you to imagine something. You're standing in front of a mirror, looking into your own eyes, not to judge, but to truly see yourself, everything you've been through, every time you fell, and every time you stood back up. You might say this silently or out loud if it feels right. I forgive the parts of me that are still imperfect. And I'm grateful that I'm still learning, still living, still moving forward. No one reaches the age of 60 or 70 without some regrets. But no one reaches that age without something to be deeply grateful for either. Grateful for the people who've loved you, for the moments still warm in your heart, even the small ones. And grateful simply because you're still here today to speak a gentle word to yourself. So if you're feeling heavy, I invite you to try something very soft. Exhale. And as you do, imagine letting go of a bit of that old self-blame you've carried far too long. And then say thank you to yourself, to your journey, and to all the things unfinished, because together they've made you into someone truly worthy of love and tenderness. Dear friend, if you've stayed with me until this very moment, I want you to know you've just given yourself a gentle and precious gift. You don't need to be good at meditating. You don't need perfect silence. You don't have to control every thought that drifts through your mind, because your mind doesn't need to be controlled. It's simply looking for a place to rest, a place that feels safe enough, quiet enough, so it can finally exhale deeply and whisper, "At last, I can let go." And if today, in just these few minutes, you've touched a little stillness, a little softness, a little sense of returning to yourself, then I believe you are already coming home, not in a rush, not with force, but in a way that is slow, gentle, deeply human, and deeply lovable. If this video helped soften your heart, if it helped you breathe a little easier or reminded you that you're not alone on this path to peaceful sleep, please share it with another older friend. Because who knows, it might be exactly what they need too. And if you'd like to keep meeting me in these quiet moments ahead, click subscribe, so we can keep sitting together in the midst of a busy world, just to listen to a breath, just to remember that you are always worthy of peace.